Hey guys, this is Miss Kulkarni, although it might be hard to tell because I'm wearing this mask. I'm at South River High School, although I'm not in my classroom. I'm in the math office right now. And we're going to do the midpoint formula for today. Okay, so the midpoint, if you're thinking, oh, that's the middle point. And how do you find things that are in the middle? You add them up and divide by 2. So let's continue to do that. The big thing and the biggest mistake I see amongst students is that they forget to pair the numbers correctly. So let's just make sure we're doing that correct. Now remember, on a coordinate plane like this, I'm trying to find the distance between these guys. My goodness, that was supposed to be a straight line. So maybe I should use the technology that I've given. So the purple line, the black line, I'm trying to find the middle point here. So we can tell by our technology and by our visuals and stuff, we can tell it's somewhere in here, somewhere. There's the middle point in that area, but let's find it using the formula. So I'm going to label my points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and then it says add the x's together, -6 plus 1, all over 2, add the y's together, and divide by 2. People, it said find the point, find the coordinate. That means there should be a comma here, and there should be parentheses around here. Let's be solid about our notation. Let's not have floating numbers all over our notebook. Okay, so we have -5 over 2, and we have 3 over 2, and if you're not a decimal or a fraction lover, as we talked about last class, you can write this as -2.5 and 1.5, and it is the same answer. Just please put a comma and parentheses around it, since it asked me for a coordinate. It didn't say, hey, student, float your numbers anywhere in a spiral on your paper. It said find the coordinate. So you should be appropriately writing a coordinate. So we just added 2 numbers and divided by 2. I'm going to give you another example. That's a tier 3 after this one, or tier 2 rather. But let's look at this one, okay? Sometimes a point, it's pretty darn clear what's going on here. So for example, if I'm looking at this, if this is the line, it's pretty clear that the midpoint of this line is, right around there, right? So we kind of already know what the midpoint is. If we have a coordinate plane and we have a completely flat or completely vertical line, it's a little bit easier to tell. But let's go ahead and use our formula anyway. So again, I always like to just give me a second, x1, y1, x2, y2. Does that hurt anybody to do that? Does it take that much more time? We have -4 plus 2 all over 2. I'm going to add the y's together and divide by 2. Don't forget the comma. Don't forget the parentheses because it did ask me for a coordinate. Okay, so -4 plus 2 is -2 over 2. We have 10 over 2, and when you get to calculus, you'll be thrilled because you never have to simplify fractions. But here you go. You have -1, 5, and there's our answer. Now, something that was taken out of the geometry curriculum because we have so little time, but hey, you guys are honor students. Let's kick a little higher level for a second. It tells me M is the midpoint of a segment. So I'm just going to draw, look at this segment, okay? And it's in the middle of S and T, and it told me M is at -1, 6. I'm just going to sketch this. So -1, +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is where M is. And then it told me T is at 2, 7. Okay, so we go up one more. That's where T is, and it wants to know where S is. So we want to know where that is. Oh my goodness. Well, I don't really have a lot to sketch here and things like that. Well, do you remember what the midpoint formula was? It was, you had 2 points. You had an x1 and a y1, and you had an x2 and a y2. And you would do that the midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and the y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So what do we know here? We know the coordinates of M because it told us the coordinates of M is -1, 6. We know the coordinates of T. So we know one of these. We know 2 plus, and we know 7. So how are we going to solve this problem? Well, looky here. We know that this calculation is supposed to equal -1. So let's do that. 2 plus x2 over 2. It's supposed to be -1. Now, I have a grouping. I'm being divided. And whenever I do my beautiful math, I like to do the grouping comes last. So we undo the grouping last. So how do I get rid of dividing? I multiply. So I'm going to multiply this side I'm going to multiply this side. So I get 2 plus x2 equals negative 2. And now I am going to, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So I get x2 equals negative 4. So there's my x2 value. We're going to do the same thing for our y2 value. We know that this calculation is supposed to equal 6. So let's do our calculation. 7 plus y2 over 2 equals 6. We're going to multiply by 2 on both sides to get rid of that 2. We get 7 plus y2 equals 12. Subtract 2, subtract 7, so we get y2 equals 5. And so now we know our coordinates of S, I'm going to put it as a coordinate here, are negative 4, positive 5. So this would be the point, negative 4, positive 5 right here. Okay, that's not in the correct curriculum for geometry this year, but I just thought I'd show it to you for all you math nerds out there. I hope that helped you, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.